Hello everybody, this is Graeme, and today I'm doing a quick look at these 4 games here. Now these games aren't connected in any way, and I'm not going to go in any particular order, so you know what? Why don't we just start with the biggest box. So the first game is one called Rafty Ride. It is kind of it's a roll and move game where each player is stranded on a raft, and the first one to get back to the island is the winner. Now you do have to build rafts kind of in order so that the same colors are next to each other, because those are the only rafts you can walk on. Or you can definitely draw the draft symbol on the die to skip any color requirement. So let's see how this one's played. So this is Rafty Ride set up for 4 players. Each player takes one of the paths, and they're all the same. Each player draws 8 rafts from the bag and places them on their path. And during this setup, rafts of the same color cannot be placed adjacent to each other. Finally, each player places their meeple on one of the 2 outer rafts of their path. Now on a player's turn, they're going to roll the dice. Then they're going to path bend based on those dice, and finally they're going to move their meeple. The dice have 5 colors on them, representing the different colored rafts, and will be the rafts you can manipulate during the path bending. After the dice are rolled, you must build or break rafts based on the colors rolled. Now each die has the same choice: break or build a raft of that color, and only 1 action per die. If you build a raft, take that color raft out of the bag and place it on any empty space on the board. It does not have to be your own path. If you use the die to break a raft, again, you can break any raft matching that color that does not already have a meeple on it. Now, if you roll a double color, you can break any raft on the board, even one with a meeple on it. If there is a meeple on a broken raft, it moves backwards to the next raft behind it. If there's no rafts behind it, the meeple goes all the way back to the start of its path. The last die face is the draft symbol, and that is going to be used for special movement. After you've activated your colored dice, you move your meeple to an adjacent raft of the same color that your meeple is currently on in your path. You cannot go to another player's path. Now instead, if you have rolled a draft symbol, you can move to an adjacent raft of your path even if it doesn't match your current raft. You can either do the draft move or the free move, but not both. If you roll double drafts, you can move your meeple twice, ignoring the color replacement. When you get to the last raft in your path, you must roll a draft to reach the island. Or, if you roll a double draft when you're on the second last draft, you can advance directly to the island, and the first person to reach the island is the winner. Let's get back to see what I thought about Rafty Ride. Oh boy, I did not like this one at all. And the theme is weird. You're all stranded, but there are strong take that elements throughout the game when you're punishing your fellow survivors. I know I'm reading too much into the theme, but I'm kind of literally grasping at straws for this one. For the production of the game is, well, it's okay. I do like the meeples, but not much else. And honestly, the gameplay is just too simplistic. And the age range of this says it's for 14 plus. This is maybe a family game with young kids, but then the take that elements make the game sometimes just downright mean. There is very little strategy. If I roll a die that's beneficial to me, I'll use it. If not, I'll destroy one of your paths. The only real decision is if you want to destroy someone else's path, but don't replace that raft. It means that they don't have to destroy it, and the draft symbols on the die are clearly better than any other face on that die. And honestly, it's just not enjoyable. The first time we played, we actually stopped playing because no one was advancing and it was just getting too annoying to play. My subsequent plays were marginally better, but not enough to recommend this one. I'm going to give this one a 3 out of 10. I have a hard time trying to figure out who might actually enjoy this game. If you're looking for a nice, light family game, there are so many more enjoyable ones than Rafty Ride, which is unfortunate. The next game I'm going to look at is one called Isle of Night. Now this is a card game where the theme is about exploring mystical islands and only appears at night. The gameplay is pretty straightforward. On your turn, you reveal 3 cards to the middle of the table, then you take all of one type card from the middle of the table. Often the cards are going to have special abilities, and when a certain number of lantern cards are claimed, the game is over. So it's kind of, player-driven end of game. Let's get at the table to see how this one's played. For the Isle of Night, randomly draw one of the island setup cards and shuffle and randomly place out the scorecards based on that chosen island card. Now I'm showing you the most basic of the island layouts, but there are a total of 6 of these island layouts, plus there are some advanced scorecards as well. The shuffled deck of cards is then placed to one side. On a player's turn, they're going to be drawing 3 cards from the deck and adding them to the display. Add them to any previous cards there. You'll then take all the cards of one Explorer type. The only exception is the location cards. Since each one is considered unique, you can only claim one of them on your turn. The other exception are the cursed rings. You don't have to claim all of them, as you do have a limit of 3 that you can have. Whichever cards you took, place them in front of you and follow any instructions on the collected cards if they say, when collected. Some of the cards do have a special ability tag to them, like the dragons and the serpents for example. They can only be collected when you collect swords or spears. For every sword you claim on a turn, you can claim 1 face-up dragon. For every spear, you can claim 1 face-up serpent. When you collect a conch horn, you can swap the position of 2 adjacent scoring cards. The scoring cards will be used at the end of the game and will show you how much each set is worth based on the type of card. So swapping them will affect how much they're worth at the end of the game. Scrolls allow you to lock or unlock a scoring card. To lock a scoring card, flip it to its lock side, and back to unlock it. When a scoring card is locked, it cannot be moved by the conch horn. Chests are just worth 2 points at the end of the game. The lanterns are worth 1 point, and they're the end of game trigger. As soon as the number of claimed lanterns equals to 3 more than the number of players, the game ends. Now the cursed rings are the most complicated cards. When you have cursed rings, you start your turn as normal by drawing the 3 cards, but before claiming anything, you must discard an explore card for each ring that you own, and you cannot discard rings this way. Then you claim any cards from the table equal to the number of cards you just discarded, and discarded cards are returned to the box. After doing this, you proceed as normal and collect 1 type of card, and you can only own a maximum of 3 rings. The magic staff when claimed allows you to discard any card you own and use its when claimed ability. If it does not have a when claimed ability, you can still just discard the card. The only card you can't discard is another magic staff. And finally, the location cards will have instructions on what you do with them. The other types of cards, like the beetles or butterflies, have no innate ability, but may have magic symbols on them, and depending on the island chosen, the player with the most of these magic symbols will get either 5 or 6 victory points at the end of the game. The game is over when the number of lanterns equals to the player count plus 3, then players are going to add up their scores using the scoring cards, and the position of these cards will dictate the points a set is worth. So in this game, for each pair of dragons you have, it's going to be worth 5 points, while each set of serpents is only worth 1 point. Then, score any other cards, like the chests or lanterns or location cards, then each player adds up the number of magic symbols on their cards, and the player with the most points will get a bonus. And the player with the most points is the winner. Let's go back to hear my thoughts on Isle of Night. Now unfortunately the theme on this one goes right out the window as soon as you open up the box. The cards are decent and the art is pretty nice. The rulebook does a good job of explaining the game, and I like that all the cards do have the abilities printed on them so you don't have to reference anything else. As for the gameplay, it's fine. Nothing outstanding, but it is a decent game. I think my 2 favorite parts of the game are actually that player-controlled ending, to some degree anyway, because it is going to depend on when those lanterns come up, but you do get the choice of when to take them and when not to. And I also like the fact that the points can alter during the gameplay. At first I thought that the changing of scoring was going to annoy me, but the game is relatively short, around 10-15 minutes. And if you know that going in, and that it is a short game, it does make that randomness a bit easier to deal with. Not randomness, more take that-ish. Now my biggest problem with the game is just that it's not interesting enough. Yes, there are special abilities, but really beyond the cursed ring, the others are pretty mundane. The game seems like a decent way to spend some time, but not one I feel like I want to come back to. There just isn't enough in this box for me. I am going to give this one a 6.5 out of 10. It's a decent, but unfortunately a forgettable game. The next game is called Dream Diary, a cooperative card game where you're trying to escape the dream world where players are all trying to travel to all the dream cards they have in their hands, without revealing any of the nightmares that the deck has. Now the game is kind of along the lines of Dixit or Mysterium, where there are oblique clues which are given to try and figure out which cards the other players are holding. So let's see how this one's played. Dream Diary is set up with the Hope track, and choose a difficulty and place the kite token on that space. This will dictate how many of cards you play with, and 12 is the easiest. Randomly deal out the cards equal based on the difficulty level with the bright side up, then taking the matching dream cards and deal them evenly as possible to all players. Now each player selects one of their cards and makes a nightmare deck beside the Hope deck. These are the cards that you, as a group, do not want to flip over from the middle location cards. On a player's turn, they will be the leader and perform 2 actions. The first is to ask all other players a question, and that question will always be, are your dreams, and then an adjective, like, are your dreams colorful? Or, are your dreams funny? Or, are your dreams sad? Then all the players will answer with hand signals based on the cards they have left in their hand. Either 0, 1, or many. The leader will write down the adjective they used, and each player's response. The leader will then choose one face-up location card and asks the group if this was their dream. They're not allowed to pick one of their own dreams. The player with that dream card in their hand plays it face up as a successful jump. So you flip the location card over and place the dream card on it. The leader then can continue to jump by choosing another face-up card, or they can stop. If a leader chooses a card that is not in a player's hand, the location is part of the nightmare pile, and the jump has failed and the kite token is flipped over to show 1 star. If it's flipped over again, the players have lost. If the leader decides to stop, or fails to have a dream card played, their turn is over and the memory sheet is passed to the next player to become the leader. Now throughout the game, the kite token must be kept on the hope track. If it ever falls off, the players have lost the game. The kite will move 1 place to the left if the leader decides not to jump at all, or the leader only successfully jumps to 1 location, or if the leader jumps to a nightmare on their first choice. The game ends when either the players have won or lost. They've won if the players have played all of the dream cards from their hands, and the players lose if the kite moves off of the hope track or the players have jumped to 2 nightmares. The players have won, add up all the stars left on the hope track and the kite token to see how well your group did. Let's get back to see what I thought about Dream Diary. First off, I love the cards in this game. Most of them are this beautiful calm scenes that look like life in another country. And honestly, I think that may be where my major problem comes with the game. It feels like the cards kind of don't fit the gameplay. They're all too similar and mundane, and I mean that kind of in a good way. Yes, there are some fantastical elements in some of the drawings, but for the most part, there doesn't seem to be anything to latch on to give people clues. And I'm not a big fan of the questions you have to ask. Are your dreams happy? Well, is this a happy dream? What about this one? Or this one? Are these sad? Are they colorful? Kind of yes to all of them. And that's my problem. Many of the cards all would have the same, in my opinion, the same set of adjectives associated with them. And honestly, I do think they missed a trick for this one. One of the things that I enjoy about these other type of, oblique clue games like Mysterium is one player is giving the clues while the other players are kind of working as a team to figure it out. In this game, it's reversed. The leader can't really discuss the answers that they receive, so the cooperation and teamwork actually doesn't work very well for this game. I honestly think it should have been reversed. The leader gives a clue to all the other players, like, my dream is happy, or my dreams are colorful, or none of my dreams are sad, and have the rest of the group discuss which dream or dreams to travel to. Take exactly the same game, but just kind of flip it. As it stands, I'm not sure I can recommend this one. It's not terrible, and the game does work as is, but I think there could have been a better game behind these beautiful cards. And unfortunately, I'm only going to give this one a 6 out of 10. The last game I'm going to talk about today is one called Quirky Quarks. It's all about particle physics, but don't let that turn you away. This is a set collection game. Through 2 different auctions during a round, you're going to be collecting element cards to hopefully create more complex particles by the end of the round to earn points at the end of the game. So let's get it to the table to see how this one's played. For Quirky Quarks, the 3 decks of cards, the elementary particles, Quests 1 and Quest 2 are all shuffled. Each player takes a meeple and 3 elementary particle cards from the top of the deck and 1 from the Quest 1 card deck. For this 3-player game, each player is going to take 12 EV, which is the currency of this game. The 2 types of cards are the particles, which will have a symbol representing the particle and will tell you any extra abilities they have. While the quest cards have that symbol of the quest, the required particles that must be discarded from a player to complete that quest, and some quests have a special power when they're completed, and a point value for end-of-game scoring. Now the game is played over 5 rounds, and each round has 5 phases. During the funding phase, you're going to deal elementary and quest cards based on the player count. For the quest cards dealt out during the funding phase, you will deal out Quest 1 or Quest 2 based on the round. During the round 2 to 5, players will also receive 3 EV and draw a card from any deck at the beginning of the funding phase. Then we go to the research phase, where the players will bid for their cards underneath one of the particle accelerators. This continues until each player has their meeple on a winning bid in a separate particle accelerator. Then they pay the cost and take all the cards into their hand. Then we move to the ejection phase, where, based on the number of cards you currently have in your hand, you must discard some. They're all discarded face down, and after all players have done that, they're all turned face up, and for each card you discarded, you receive 1 EV. Now these cards, plus the leftover card from the particle accelerators, make up a pool of cards to be auctioned off in the next phase. And during the discovery phase, each player gets a chance to auction off a card. One at a time, they'll pick a card and put it up for auction with a starting bid. Players can either bid or pass. When all but one players have passed, they win the card and pay the cost to the bank. Then the next player can bid on a card. And during this initial phase, the minimum bid is 2 EV. The players then have the option to do another round of bidding with the minimum bid starting at 3. And these rounds continue to increase by 1 EV each round until no players wants to continue to put up cards for bid. Then all the leftover cards are discarded. We then move to the quest phase. In player order, players can complete as many quests from their hand as possible, discarding the required cards and playing the quest card in front of them and activating any abilities on that card. In this phase, 3 identical elementary particles can be discarded to replace an elementary particle required for one of the quests. If this is not the final round, the starting player marker moves to the next person, advance the round cube, and start the next funding phase. If this is the final round, players add up all the points from completed quest cards and the remaining EV, and the player with the most points is the winner. Let's get back to see what I thought about Quirky Quarks. First off, I love the theme. I am interested in particle physics anyway, so that's why this theme really appealed to me. And I love how every card has a little fact related to either particle physics or the particle itself. The auctions all happen at real particle accelerators, and there's actually even a science behind booklet in this box that gives you some background on the particle physics and the accelerators. The components are decent, and I do really like those metal coins in this box. Unfortunately, my enthusiasm for the components doesn't transfer over to the gameplay. I can see where they were going with this gameplay. And there is some enjoyment to be had, especially if you're interested in the subject matter at all. But the game really kind of needed more work to make it smoother. Because, for example, I'm not sure having 2 auctions in the round is really necessary and feels a little clunky. I would almost have preferred to have the quests be auctioned off separately. Like maybe the first action of the particle accelerators is just getting the elementary particles. And the second are the quests, so you can build up your hands during the round and then bid on the quest at the end. And that also might make the actions kind of more engaging, because as they stand right now, it's like, well, I don't need any of that, so I'm not going to bid on that. The discarding cards, if you have too many, feels odd as well. And I'm not sure what the purpose is, basically beyond getting more money into your hand for that second auction, but it does feel like there could have been a better way to handle it. Like getting money from completing quests, maybe that could have been an option. You complete a quest at the end of the round and get some money for it for the next round's auctions. Now, I do like that the quests are split into, quests 1 and quest 2, and the second ones are definitely more difficult. You really need to pick up a level 2 one as soon as possible so you can kind of spend almost the entire game working towards it, because you're only going to be completing 1, maybe 2 of those. And there's just really too many rough corners in this game to give it a recommendation. But I am going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. I think it's almost there. I do think with some work on the gameplay, this would have been an ideal gift for someone interested in the subject matter. But with the gameplay as is, it's just one I'm going to have to pass on. So there you have it, 4 short game reviews. Unfortunately, none of them are ones I would recommend, but some of them, like these 2 here, just missed the mark, where others are a hard pass from me. But if you played any of these and think I'm wrong, definitely leave a comment below. But that's it for the moment. Until next time, thanks for watching.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.